Hey everybody, welcome back to my bathroom. So today I want to talk about something people have been talking about for over a week now, but I wanted to offer my perspective as well, and that is Beyoncé's performance at Super Bowl 50. So a lot of critics were saying that she shouldn't have used that platform to make a statement about such a serious issue. I happen to disagree. I think it was necessary, but either way, what I really want to talk about today are the points behind the statement. So I would like to open this conversation with a quote that I heard on a podcast I really like called The Brilliant Idiots, and that is, anti-police brutality is not anti-police. So we're going to put that on the shelf for a minute and come back to it, but first, grab your number 2 pencils because we're going to have a history lesson. So I saw a lot of people equating the KKK with the Black Panthers. So we're going to go over the history of both groups and see if that's an appropriate comparison. I will say most movements eventually become separated in some way from their original purpose. So we're going to kind of stick with the original purposes of both of these groups and see if they can really be compared. So we'll start with the KKK, founded in the 1860s, and it kind of had 3 waves. So we're going to talk about the third wave, which is basically from the 1950s up until current day. So they are a white supremacist group, and in the 50s and 60s, their main thing was opposing desegregation and opposing the civil rights movement. So I would hope anyway that we can all agree those are 2 things that shouldn't have been opposed. So anyway, they also formed corrupt alliances with many police forces so they could more easily carry out their acts of terrorism, including but not limited to blowing up houses in Black neighborhoods, kidnapping and murdering civil rights activists, and probably their most infamous act of terror, the 1963 bombing of a Birmingham, Alabama church that killed 4 very young Black girls. So we have all that ridiculous shit going on leading up to the 1966 formation of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. So their original purpose was to patrol the police because, as we just stated, a lot of police forces were making alliances with the KKK, a white supremacist terrorist organization. So I think it's safe to say that looking out for the African American community was not high on their list of shit to do. So anyway, within a couple of years of the creation of the Black Panthers, they had also enacted a lot of community programs like healthcare clinics and probably the most well-known free breakfast for children. While a lot of the imagery that we see of the Black Panthers does revolve around them carrying guns and weapons and all that kind of stuff, I will remind everyone, African Americans, also Americans, and therefore entitled to their Second Amendment right. And I know a lot of you guys think that one is super duper important. So anyway, another one of their main goals was to gain political power and influence so that African Americans could be represented within our government. And since then, a lot of the past members of the Black Panther Party have since served as elected officials in our government. So I think all of sound mind can probably see that that is not an appropriate comparison, and Ku Klux Klan doesn't equal the Black Panthers. I will say though that argument, at least where I've seen it, was largely perpetuated by those that don't have such a firm grasp on the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U''R-E. You know the type. But anyway, now I move on to the actual performance. And there's a lot of factors that make it kind of make sense and fit in perfectly. Because this is 2016. It's the 50-year anniversary of the formation of the Black Panther Party. It's Super Bowl 50. It's Black History Month. And the Panthers were in the Super Bowl. So it totally makes sense. But, you know, when everyone saw it, everyone was freaking out, saying that it's an affront to everything we hold dear as Americans, and it was a vicious attack on all police. So I was like, okay, well, let me get my glasses. Let me look at everything, look at the evidence, and see if I see this vicious attack on all police. And I just didn't. All I saw was a strong statement against police brutality, specifically police brutality that is perpetrated against the African American community in the United States. So if we watch the accompanying video that was released the day before the Super Bowl, we do see an image at the end that is of a wall with paint on it that says, "Stop shooting us." So I see that against police brutality. I'm cool with that. I think it's an important message that we need to talk about. But I just didn't see an attack on all police because, as we previously stated at the beginning of the video, anti-police brutality is not the same as anti-police. So if you find yourself consistently getting upset when people speak out against police brutality, perhaps it's because you're having trouble separating police brutality from all police, which would mean somewhere deep down you're thinking all police are guilty of police brutality and you're cool with it. And I'm not cool with it. So that's why I think we should all speak out about it regardless of our race or where we're from. So anyway, we can also see why the African American community would feel particularly upset about this, because while African American men make up about 6% of the US population, they also make up about 40% of the unarmed people killed by police. So there's that. And you know, to talk about all of this doesn't mean that we don't care about our police officers killed in the line of duty. For example, in 2014, there was about 51 of them, which, you know, of course is a tragedy. We don't want those who have signed up to serve and protect us to be getting killed. I mean, duh. But anyway, we do see that juxtaposed with about 1,000 people per year being killed by police. And for example, in 2013, 461 of those were deemed to be justifiable homicides. But what about the other 500 some odd of those? Are we not allowed to talk about that? Otherwise, we're attacking all police? That really just doesn't add up when you think about it critically anyway. And the thing is that a lot of people tend to feel apathetic towards things that they don't perceive as an immediate threat towards them and theirs. So I think the fact that we do generally tend to see the African American community feeling more upset about this, and we do see largely the white American community not so upset about this, just kind of goes to show that somewhere deep down, those of us in the white American community may feel like it's not really affecting us. Why? Because we're white. So I think that's something that we should think about and talk about, and I don't think those who raise this issue of all these innocent people getting killed should be, you know, demonized as attacking police. It really doesn't make sense at all when you think about it. And you know, if we really believe that our police force can be good and can live up to the promise to serve and protect all Americans, isn't that what we should demand, right? So to me, all of this just goes to show all of us should speak out, because we're all Americans at the end of the day, and we're all entitled to be served and protected by our police force. So, you know, while I don't think this video will change anyone's mind about anything, my hope is that it will plant a seed of information that may sprout into empathy and grow into mental change, because mental change is the one most necessary thing that we need in order to see tangible change. But anyway, until next time,